Hey, hello everyone, welcome again to our e-learning portal. So today we are going to discuss about the for loop statements. In the yesterday previous sessions, we have basically covered the for loop questions based on if else and also how we can run the loop in multiple variables. Now we basically focus on the statements like the break, continue and pass statements in the loop. So let's get started with our today's agenda and we'll move accordingly. So as you can see, for our today's agenda, we have to basically discuss the loop statements, that is the break, continue, and pass statements. Now, these statements are very important and they play a very vital role at a time of interview and like solving some. So we're basically going to see how we can use the break, continue, and pass statement and a lot of examples in that part. So let's quickly get started to the practice scenarios of then, and then we'll move further. So here, guys, I hope my screen is visible to you. So let's start with that part. So we are doing the loop from like past two sessions. So we have the idea on that. So let's suppose if I am running a loop here, runtime. So we all know like this loop will start from 0 and go till 10, but not 10. I can say only till 9 because the range will be n minus 1. So now this loop will automatically get stopped at 9. So now if I run this code for just a little bit check like how it's working. So just click on OK. Just a moment, guys. Let me share my output screen to you. Yeah, so here you can see it is giving me the output from 0 to 9. Now, if someone is saying that I want to stop that loop in between, so at that time we can use the break statement. Now, there is a break statement which will come in the picture. So what basically happens is we are talking about the break, continue, and pass. So let's suppose if I have a loop body here like this, if I have a loop body here like this, and this loop will start from this part and go till this part. Now if I want to stop my loop in between of this thing, I can stop it anywhere like this. And for stopping that part, I need the break statement for stopping that thing. So the question will arise in mind like how we can basically tell our loop or how we can indicate our loop that you have to stop at this moment. So for that we can use some condition like if that will happen then break the loop, if that part will happen then break the loop. So in this loop body, we can put a condition. We can put a condition and that condition can help us for the loop break. So the break can be used for breaking a loop when a specific condition will met inside that range. So let me show you guys one example on that. So what I'll do here is in this loop, I'm just adding one condition that if the value of I is equals to 5, then at that time I have to break the loop. Now you can clearly see that the break is inside the if part and there is a print statement which is outside that if indentation. Now if I run this code from here again, you can see it is giving me the output from 0 to 4, which means after 4 when the value 5 is coming, the condition will be true and it will break the loop. So we will come outside the loop. Now for check have we come outside the loop or not, I will just add one more statement of print here that print outside the loop like this. Now here guys you can see like what I have done. First of all I have added a condition in which I have put in the break statement. I have used a print inside the loop statement for printing that part, and after that I'm using a print statement which is outside the loop body. So here you can see if I run this code, this is giving me the output and after 4 is giving me outside the loop because when the break statement will execute it will come outside of that loop body. Now that is working in a very fine way. So here what I will do, I will just make this part as comment and let me just give you one more scenario on break. So let's suppose in this part if I copy it and paste it here, and I will just do one more thing, that is instead of writing this print here I will write the print statement before the if like here. So what I'm doing, whenever I'm coming inside the loop, first of all I'll print the value. Then I'm checking the condition that it is 5 or not. If that value will be 5, it will give me, it will just break the loop, else it will run the loop. Now let's try to check it out. So here I will again click on run, click on that module. Now just see the output. Now here you can see the in the output I am getting the value 5 false. Now what happened in this statement, why it is giving me 5? So what happens there is, you can see in this range, first of all the value which will come is 0. Now it will print the value 0. Then it will check the condition that 0 equals to 5. No, it's not equal to 5. So it will go for 1. So first of all, it will print 1. Then it will check 1 is equals to 5 or not. Similarly for 2, for 3, for 4, and then 5 will come. So when the range value is 5, it will first of all print 5. Then it will check that the value is 5 or not. And at that time the condition is true. So that value is 5. So it will break that loop and come outside the loop. In the previous code, what has happened is, when the value 5 will come, it will first of all check the condition, and that condition is true and it will break the loop. So basically it depends, like you are putting the break before the statement or after the statement, wherever the position of the break is. So it will go in a line by line order, and whenever the break statement will be there, it will just move outside the loop. And that is the use of a break statement. Now let's move on and see the continue statement. What is the meaning of continue statement? So what continue will do? So like as a break, I can say like break will stop the loop when the condition will true. Talking about the continue, what continue will do? Continue will skip a part of a loop whenever the condition will true. Now it's a little bit difficult to understand that definition. So what we can do is we can just see the practical way of that. That will give you a more idea. So for I in range of 10, if the value of I is equals to 5, I will continue. Instead of break, I'm using continue. And again, I'll use a print I so that I can see the value. So here I'll click on run module. And now you can see what it is done. It basically skipped the value 5. Like after 4, it is giving me 6. So continue will skip the part on which our condition is true. So it will skip the statement. Like whatever the statement written after the continue will be skipped whenever this condition will get true. Like if I will write or I equal to 3, which means if the value is 3 or 5, it will skip that value. So here you can see it will not print the value of 3 and 5 in the loop. And you can see in a clear way, after 2 I am getting 4, after 4 I am getting 6. So this is a way how we can use a continue statement. So continue will skip the part of body, break will break the loop. Now in this particular scenario you might have a question, what happens if I put that print before the condition? So guys, again, as I have told you, the continue will skip only the part which is after that continue statement. Now we don't have any statement after the continue. So what happened there is it will not going to skip anything. It will give you all the values. So whenever you are using the continue statement, make sure that you have used any statement after the continue so that you can see the result accordingly. Now after continue, we have one more statement that is called pass statement. Now pass is not the statement of loop. Like if I am talking about the break and continue will be used inside a loop. But pass can use in any format, like either in a function or class or objects and anywhere. So basically what pass will do, pass will ignore the value, or you can say ignore at that time. So let's suppose in this part, I'll just copy and paste it here. And you guys can see instead of continue, if I will write pass, pass. What pass will do? Pass will do nothing. Now let's run this code and let me just show you. As you can see, when the condition is met, it is doing nothing. Now, why we are using it? That might be a question. So we can say that let's suppose we are deriving a scenario or a, you can say a code in which at this moment we don't know what we have to do or what steps we have to take at some condition, but we have to derive that conditions. So let's suppose at 5 and 3 we have to do something. but right now we don't have any idea of that. So we cannot leave it as blank, because in Python, if I'm writing some statement, inside that some body will become, so we have to write something. Now if I'm writing print, or if I'm writing something that should be displayed on the screen, that will be displayed, so we cannot use that. So I cannot leave it as blank, because if I run this code as like this only, it will give me an error, because you have not created any indentation level for this statement. So for just in case, like at this time, I just want to put ignore type of thing here, I can write pass. So pass will ignore this statement as of now, and whenever we want to put any condition, we can just replace that pass with that statement or with that condition. So now if I run this code with pass, you can see it will not give me any error, and our code is working fine. So pass is just for ignoring some condition or some statement at that moment. So I hope you all guys have get a better idea about the break, continue and pass. Now let's try to see some questions based on the break statement. Although like talking about these three statements, break are used many times. So let's have a discussion on that. So let's suppose we have a range of 0 to 9, and in that range I want to check that 5 is present or not. In a range I want to check that 5 is present or not. So what we can say, for I in range 10, which is from 0 to 9 definitely, and I have to just check that 5 is present in 0 to 9 or not. So what I can say, if I is equals to 5, then it is present. Like in that range, if 5 will come, I will write present, else I will write not present. I hope this condition is clear to all of what I'm saying, that in the given range, if that condition will true, which means if the value is 5, you will write present, else you will write not present. Now this is a simple question. There is a simple code which we have created here. Now let's try to see the output. As per my thinking, or like the users which are using Python for first time, they can think like this will be present because the condition will be true. Just a moment, guys. Yeah. So if I run this code, you can see it is giving me present, not present, not present, present. Now this output can be a little bit confusing. Let me explain to you why this come like this. So what I will say here is what basically happens. I have a value from 1 to 10. So it will be like starting from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and according till 9. Now what will happen in our loop? First of all, the value will become 0. Now the loop will check that 0 is equals to 5. No, it's not equal to 5. You can check in the code. It will check for 0. So 0 is equals to 5. Condition is false. So it will write not present. Now is this the correct? If the 0 is not equals to 5, first of all I have to check 1. I cannot directly write that it is not present. I have to check for that part. That means I cannot use else statement here. Because if I am using the else statement, the value will be, this condition will not be true. Whenever this condition will not be true, it will go in the else part. I cannot write the else statement here. So what I can do? I will say, okay, let's try to derive some logic for that. So what I can say is, let's take a myth that a variable, let's say f, and I will say by default I'm taking the value of f as 0. And what I will do inside this range, if my condition get true at any point, like at 5, if the value is equals to 5, if that condition will true, I will change the value of f to 1. I'm not printing anything. I will just change my myth. In the starting, I am taking the value of f as 0. If that condition will true, then I will change the value of f to 1, which means after completing the loop, either the value of f will be 0 or 1. If the value is 1, that means my condition will be true at any point in that range. And if the value is 0, that means the condition is never get true in that range. Like let's suppose in a class I want to check that a student is present or not. So if I will check for the first student and that is not equal to the student value, I cannot say that it is not present. I have to check for the 40 students. So what I can say, by default, I will take a myth that this student is not present. And if in that particular class, if that student will match his identity, I will just change my myth that it is present. So at the last, I will get my output that the value is present or not. So I'm just using that concept. What I will do, I will just first of all define a variable with a value 0. If my condition get true, I will change that variable value to 1, and at last I will be able to find that if the value is 0, then it is not present, and if the value is 1, then it is present. Now let me just derive that concept here. So what I will do, I'll just make a variable f as 0 here. Now if the I value is equals to 5, I will say f equals to 1. I'm not doing anything. Now I know at starting the value is 0, and if the condition will get true, it will be 1, which means after the loop either the value of f will be 0 or it will be 1. So I will say if the value of f is equals to 0, then that means this condition will never get true, and I can write print not present, else print present. And that's done. Now let's check it out for once. So here in this case, it should give me present, and you can see it is giving me present for 2 times. Why this will happen? Because, okay, I'm writing print here also. I'm not using the print statement in the loop because it can print multiple times, because loop will repeat for multiple times. So that's why I'm using the print statement after the loop. Now if I run this code again, so here you can see it is giving me present one. Now instead of 5, if I will just change that number to, let's say, 15. Now we know in that range I will not get 15. So it should give me not present. Let's check it out. You can see it is giving not present. So it's working fine way. Now here what we can do is, like, I'm not use a break statement here. Yes. So can we use break statement here also? Definitely we can use that part. Let me tell you what the break statement will do in this case. Now what I will do is, I will just change this value to 5, and instead of using the range 10, I will say 100. So we know, like, from 0 to 100, 5 will be present. 1000, 10,000, lakh, 10 lakh, crores. So let's suppose if I have a range from 0 to 1 crore, and I want to check that 5 will present or not. We know 5 will present it. Let's check it out on the loop. So if I run this code, so my code is running, and after it is giving me present. Let me just change that range to 10 crores. Now you can see it's taking time. Why? Because our loop will go till 10 crores. Although it will get a value 5 at very beginning level, but it is going till 10 crores. You can see it is giving me present now, but it is taking so much time. Why? Because it will go for all the ranges. So what I can do is, if I met my condition, then why I'm running the loop? I can break that loop at that time. Like, let's suppose if I am searching some student and I will find that student in a class, I'm not going to check for all the students. So what I can do here is, if my condition get true, then we will break the loop. You need not to go for some another persons. So here you can see I'm not changing the loop range. I'm just using the break statement, and now you can see the difference in the output. At this time it is taking a milliseconds to give me the output. Now, that is the beauty of break statement, how it's working. So this is the way how we can use the break statement in these particular kind of codes. I hope you got the idea of using the break statement, the continue statement, and the pass statement. Although pass statement is very less scope of using, continue it might be used in some of the cases. We will later on discuss that parts. But yes, break is used multiple times, so that is the work which we can use there. So we can discuss like one more question on break, which is very important question, and you guys might have seen of that. That is prime number. We have to check that a number is prime or not. So it's a very important question. Everyone will ask that question, like you have to check that a number is prime or not. First of all, let's discuss what is prime number and what is the use of that. I'm not going to like basically discuss the use, but yes, first of all, let's a clear idea about the prime number. So we know like what is prime number. So prime number, let me just increase the font. Prime number. So prime number are numbers which are divisible by 1 or itself only. Like 13. 13 is not divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5 or any other number. It is only divisible by 1 or 13 itself. So now we have to make a code for that. How we can create a code through which we can check that the number is prime or not? What we can say is, let's suppose for 13 what we can do is, if I want to check that it is divisible by anyone or not, I can say, talking about 13, just start from 2 and go till 12. Like if the 13 is divisible from any value in this range, that is a not prime number. Talking about 15, from 2 to 14, if it is divisible by any of the number, then it is a not prime number, because prime number is saying it will be divided by 1 and the number itself. So I'm not going to check by 1 and 13 itself. The remaining numbers are from 2 to 12. I will just check the number from 2 and that number minus 1, the range. In that range, if that number is divisible by anyone, then it is a not prime number, and if it is not divisible, then it is a prime number. Which means if n is a number, then I will use a loop in range 2 to n minus 1. If the number n is divisible by any of I, which means any of the number, then I can print not prime, else prime, else prime. That will be the condition for us. So now let's try to derive it in our Python code. So what I will say here is, first of all, we have to take a number. Number will be, let's say, anything. So I will just take an input because that will be make more sense. That will be enter the number. Now I will say for I in range 2 to that number. Now I'm not using minus 1. Why? Because we know if I'm using a number, the range will automatically go till n minus 1. Now if that number is divisible by any I will say print not prime, else print prime. That's it. But we all know that this is the same case which we have used in the previous part, in which I'm writing present and not present, and it is repeating it. So at that time we have used the break statement. So definitely I'm going to use that part again, because let's suppose if I'm talking about 13, the first number will be 2. 13 is divisible by 2? No. So it will write prime. I'm not going to write it at that time. I have to check for each of the values. Okay. So instead of using it directly, what I will do, I will first of all create a variable, let's say f as 0. I'm not going to print anything. I will say if the number is divisible by any of the value, just change the value of f to 1, break my loop and come outside. Here just write, just check. If the value of f is equals to 1, that means the number is divisible by any of the value. I don't know the value, but yes, in any of the value. I will print not prime. Else I will print prime. Let's try to check it out. It's asking for the number. Let's say 13. 13 is a prime number. That's perfect. Let's try for some more. 34 is a not prime number. That's perfect. Now let's try to fine tune this code. So let me just go on notes so that I can just tell you some more thing about that. Let's suppose if I'm talking about a value 100, what will be the maximum value that can divide 100? 100 is not in that picture. Like I'm not taking 100, but what will the maximum value which can divide 100 except 100? 50. Yeah, 50 can divide 100 perfectly. Talking about 1000, what will be the maximum value which can divide 1000? 500. Talking about, let's say, 1 lakh, the maximum value which can divide 1 lakh is 50,000. Now here you can see what happened is, I think you got the idea that if I'm talking about any number, that number will be completely divisible till half of that number. So if I'm checking for the divisibility of any number, instead of going till that number, I can go till the half of that number. That will save our time. Like if I'm checking, let's say, a value which is a 6-digit number, more than 1 lakh. So our loop will go from 2 to 1 lakh. So instead of going till that value, I can go till 50,000 only. That will save our time. So what I can do here is, instead of using the number range, I will use num double divided by 2. Now double divided will not take the point value, we know that part. Now the problem here is, if I am using the range from 1 to 50, we know that range will go till 49 only. I have to include that 50 also, because 50 is the number through which it can be divisible. So instead of using number divided by 2, I will use number double divided by 2 plus 1, so that it will take the range till 51, and through that 50 will come in that range. Let me just explain it to you again. If I'm talking about 100, if I will divide 100 by 2, if I will divide 100 by 2, it will become 50 here, and the output will be 0. Like if I subtract 100, now 50 is the value. If I use the range from 2 to 50, it will go till 2 to 49. I want to add 50 also, so I will use 50 plus 1. So that is the reason why I have used that plus 1 in my system. So it will save our time accordingly, and we can check it like all the programming is by talking about interpreter, it's so far, but yes, it will save our time. So now let's try to run this code and see, like, is there any difference in the output? If that will be there, we'll try to change it. Let's see this. So it's a not prime number, although we're not going to check it. Yes, it's definitely correct. So this is the way how we can, so we have get the idea how we can use a prime number code, and I hope you guys got the idea how we can use that parts, the use of break statement in all these things. So yes, this is the work which we have to discuss in this video. I hope you got all the ideas of the prime number and how we can use the break and continue statements. So definitely guys, we will be going to learn more about the loops in our upcoming sessions. So stay tuned. We will going to learn all the parts there. Now we have basically discussed our agenda for today. That is the loop statement. We have discussed about the break continue pass in very good way. We have seen some examples also. So at last, we have the thank you session, guys. So yes, thank you all of you for joining this session. And if you guys have any feedback, you can share your feedback, any suggestions you may have for the improvement. And if you have any doubt, any questions, you can leave your question in the comment section. We will definitely there to help. Till the time, guys, do practice on the loop, on if else. That will give you a very good idea about Python, because it's all about practice. So just try to learn more in this part. Okay then, bye bye, take care guys, have a nice day.